What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Join Dota League Season 3. The final game of the American Division hangs in the balance, and Union Gaming, currently with a score of 1-1, brought it back in game number 2. Here on HeflaTV 2, we're going to be bringing you the action. I'm Mike Loris. I'm joined by Grandis. Grandis, it's the last game of JDL Season 3 America. What do you want to see?
Well, I don't know. I really don't. We're going to see Ogre for a third time, and if history is any indicator, it's going to be Union Gaming to take this game. As Ogre is currently 2-0. Yeah, as far as something I want to see from each of the teams, Union Gaming, I think they need to keep up the aggression, at least with everybody but Benyes. Like, when Jericho, Angel, and Zinder are able to get on these aggressive heroes, they're able to make quite a lot of space. And last game, it really worked out for them. They're able to come back from a really terrible laning phase. And as far as not today, I think they need to give Iwo a hero that he can actually make plays on. Because in game number 1, he had the Phantom Assassin. He was just able to maneuver through the team fights and find so many openings to get kills. And in game number 2, he played on the Medusa. And quite frankly, he fed. Like, there was not really anything redeeming to the Medusa that game. He got good items because he was able to, I don't know, pretty much play PvE through the second half of that game, but a Medusa with a Lincoln Sphere and a Yasha just doesn't cut the cake. It's not necessarily his fault that he died on the Medusa, but I think it's a hero that he's not as comfortable with. I'd like to see him on something a little bit more mobile, and this Ember Spirit, although it's likely to be played by Smash, I'd like to see something similar for Iwo.
Yeah, it could potentially be a core Mirana, as that is the other pickup for not today. Prioritizing that rather highly, although I do believe it's going to be a support Mirana. I think I remember not today just running around with that one and landing freehand arrows left and right, so that's probably going to be the play for not today. I think you're pretty much spot on with the assessment of Iwo. I mean, he did so well in game number 1 just because he was able to do stuff, and Medusa is inherently not that hero, and when you put her into a crappy laning situation, she's definitely not going to do stuff. So not today. They need to shift gears back to game number 1, back to the previous games they played in JDL. But Union Gaming, they're going to take one of, or two of, not today's probably best options in Ogre, Magi, Centaur, Warrunner. These are heroes that do stuff. These are heroes that start plays, that are okay with fighting early. They hold on to their lanes. They have crowd control. It's a really strong start for Union Gaming. I would say stronger than not today.
Yeah, it's fairly melee heavy, but these two heroes make it work. They're generally fairly tanky as far as the early levels and just the way that they scale later on in the game. And most importantly, they have a truck ton of damage as well as lockdown between them with fairly reliable stuns. The Hoof Stomp, especially once you get a Blink Dagger as well as the Fire Blast, are able to keep people in place. And the Fire Blast plus Ignite as well as the Double Edge obliterate people. Even the Ember Spirit with the Flame Guard up isn't going to be immune to that, especially if there's multicasts involved.
Alright, so let's see where Not Today are going to go with their draft. Let's see if they respect our advice. Obviously, they can't hear it, but I'm sure they have it in mind. At least they want to take stronger lanes. It is going to be the Tidehunter and Slark once again being banned out by Union Gaming, whereas Not Today, they're going to target some initiation. They know that Centaur initiation is powerful enough. When you combine him with a Puck, then things just get really disastrous. Maybe we're in for a Batrider game. There is still a Skywrath Mage in the pool, which would be a fantastic hero for Union Gaming to pick up. I think that's probably worth a ban by Not Today.
Yeah, definitely. Right now, pretty much anything that Not Today could want for setup with the Mirana Arrow is still available in the pool. The Bane, Earthshaker, as well as the Shadow Demon, whatever floats their boat. Not Today. I'd like to see them maybe go for the Earthshaker. As far as their other heroes, the defensive fissures could be really disruptive to a Centaur initiation, as well as to the Ogre, just keeping those melee heroes at arm's length. The Shadow Demon disruption, although it would be nice to set up Mirana arrows, it doesn't really offer anything outside of that, and I think having the extra lockdown that an Earthshaker would offer would benefit them more than having more reliable arrows.
Yeah, they could go for the Earthshaker. Going for a Sand King, not the best partner for Mirana, but against the two melee heroes that Union Gaming already have, wouldn't be a terrible pick in and of itself. Really, no matter what Not Today are going to pick up, they just have to make sure that they would ideally be able to punish Union Gaming's dual melee opening, and they would ideally like to set up for the Mirana arrow later on. And it is going to be the Skywrath Mage ban. Not really too surprising there. It was picked in the first picking phase for the past 2 games, so him getting this far is actually pretty surprising. But not going to be seen this game as Not Today. Now they have an issue. They need more cores, they need more supports, and they need to really deal with this aggression from Union Gaming. do you think they're just going to fall back and go for the Phantom Assassin again?
10 seconds remaining.
Potentially. Right now, Union Gaming have decent tools to deal with the PA. With the Fire Blast as well as nuke damage from those two, it would necessitate a BKB on the PA, and instead, it's going to be a Clockwork for Not Today. It's decent setup for the Arrow, and works pretty well in lane up against the Centaur if that is a 1v1 matchup. I'm not really sure why they're going for the Clockwork over something else as far as their other support. I would have thought that that would be their pick now, and then they'd leave the Clockwork till later on in the draft if they do want to pick up that hero.
Yeah, Clock wasn't touched in the previous games, and if you want initiation, Clockwork does it pretty well, but he's not really setting up for anything, I don't think. Nothing really huge right now. Might be a little bit down the line as potentially we're going to be seeing something like an Invoker, but Smash already played Ember Spirit, and Smash is not going to be able to control two heroes, so that's a little bit not feasible. I think if you're looking for initiation on your offlane, then Batrider is overall the stronger pick right now.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Clockwork does more damage than the Batrider in certain situations, but especially when you have a team to back it up. Setting up for the arrows of the Mirana as well as the Ember Spirit, the Batrider does that better than the Clockwork would, and just being able to pull somebody out of position is an incredibly strong tool, defensively as well as aggressively. And with an Ogre Magi on the enemy team, they could have gone for Revenge on Union Gaming, and it was available in the pool, so maybe picking up the Batrider at this point would have been risky, but I don't know. I still think just getting the support to pair with the Mirana first and then waiting for that offlane pick would have been a little bit wiser coming out for Not Today. Still, they have a Clockwork, and I assume this is just going to be our support to pair with the Mirana, or at least something to lane with the Mirana if they do want to run it as a core.
Yeah, I think that should be what Not Today are going to look to do. Union Gaming, they once again, I believe they ran it in the previous two games now, going for the Shadow Shaman, and it worked out pretty decently for them. It's a hero that has definitely taken a huge fall from grace, but hey, if you have the disables, no matter what, when you're dealing with the Mirana or an Ember Spirit, you're using a Hex or Shackles to set up for an Ogre or Centaur follow-up, then you're going to be in a pretty good space. So it is going to be Sand King in the end for Not Today. I mean, they do have heroes that can punish Union Gaming's low-ranged lineup, but I don't know. Union Gaming, they're just going to go for pretty much the exact same draft as last game. Actually, it is the same draft as last game.
It is. I mean, if it's not broken, don't fix it, I suppose. They're not going to have the Death Prophet available, so they're going to have a different mid-hero for sure. What that is, I don't exactly know. It worked out for Union Gaming in game number 1, and this game, I'm not liking it as much, especially if Not Today don't go for the Medusa. I think that would be a terrible pick, again, as we saw in game number 2. But still, I'm not really digging it either way. The Not Today lineup, it's okay. It's bringing some different things to the table. They have decent pickoff with the Clockwork initiations into the Mirana Arrow, as well as the Sand King once the Blink Dagger does come online. The Ember Spirit scales pretty well, and if the laning stage goes the same way that Not Today had last game, they'll be in a pretty good situation. We're waiting for Iwa's hero, and the Phantom Assassin is going to be banned out.
So I think I like where Not Today are kind of going with this. Again, you said bringing something different to this table. Sand King, Clockwork are two heroes that I don't believe were touched in the previous games. I know the Clockwork wasn't for sure. I don't think Sand King took a ban, but either way, it's going to be a little bit different, and it is a lot of initiation, as I said, a lot of disables. Anti-Mage is not going to have the best case scenario in this game, and I was just about to say that Viper would be a good pickup for Union Gaming to have, but it's instead going to be handled by Not Today. If it does end up going to Ewo, then it's not exactly a hero that can make huge plays, although I think this might be a Smash Viper, and Ewo's going to be handling the Ember, potentially.
I'd like to see that a little bit better, but even the Viper, he's somebody that can put that farm to use at an earlier stage than Medusa. The Medusa just never felt like it got online, and even though Viper is not very flashy as far as heroes are concerned, the already good laning stage mechanics coming out from Ewo put into the Viper is going to make it really hard for Union Gaming to come out and to win in that lane. And once Viper has something along the lines of a mech, or maybe just builds tanky, he's going to be able to accomplish something for the team, rather than just AFK farming, even if it's Smash playing on the Ember Spirit again, just because he's more comfortable on it than Ewo is. I still think it's going to work out better than the Medusa last game, which honestly isn't that hard.
I also like what they're doing with this last pick Viper. They're presenting two potential mid lane heroes to Union Gaming, and wow, a Timbersaw last. This is probably going to prompt Viper to go mid, and I think it's definitely going to prompt Viper to go mid, but I was just about to say that they're kind of forcing Union Gaming to pick up someone who could either go mid as and face up against Viper, and that hero pool is rather slim, or try to get someone who is not that great against Viper but is decent, in which case Ember Spirit will be the replacement for Not Today, and they'll have stronger lanes elsewhere, kind of offering Union Gaming a lose-lose situation, but definitely going for a different way. It's going to be Timbersaw, and it's going to be pretty decent. Not Today, they have quite a few ways of interacting with the Timbersaw, so it's not going to be, a Timbersaw running wild purely, but as far as a hero that creates space and performs early game, mid game pressure, Timbersaw is pretty much on the top of that list.
Yeah, he can do a lot with just the levels, which he should be able to get solo up against the Viper. Although Viper is going to be able to zone him away from farming very effectively, he'll still be able to get level 6, level 7 very quickly, which will be really nice. But I'm not sure it's nice enough. Right now, there are 2 strength heroes on the side of Not Today, but they have a decent amount of lockdown for this Timbersaw. If he fully commits in, the Sand King Bro Strikes are going to come through, as well as Battery Assault canceling the Timber Chains. It's not going to be a free reign for this Timbersaw, and honestly, a Timbersaw that gets off to a slow start isn't going to be doing that much. Still, once he does eventually get a Bloodstone Aghanim Scepter or something along those lines, Timbersaw's damage output is insane. And even before that, once he gets up the max rank in Warling Death as well as Timber Chain, and then a couple more levels up in the Chakram.
It is probably going to be a mid lane Timbersaw, and I think that lane is bad enough for the Ember Spirit that they might want to put the Viper there. Either way, Not Today, they're going to have more or less the mid lane on lockdown. And we saw how that worked in game number 1. Like, they had the matchup Mag versus the Death Prophet, and Mag won that pretty handily, and they were able to capitalize on that. So versus this Timbersaw, I think they could do a very similar thing. Put a matchup there that's going to win, or that's eventually going to win, let's say, and then the Timbersaw is always going to be very effective, but the Not Today hero is going to be more so. And as you said, like, the laning stages for Not Today have so far been just so much stronger than UG that I think this is already a lane that Not Today are probably not going to lose. And taking a look at the other lanes, Clockwork versus Centaur, relatively even, in fact, as both of them do like to be in melee range of the other, and then at that point it's just a slugfest. And then we have Sand King, Mirana, and Ember. That could be pretty messy versus UG, but we saw UG's laning last time with these same exact 3 heroes, and it didn't really go well for them.
Yeah, it definitely didn't. It felt like they were playing a little bit too aggressively. Whenever they saw, like, the slightest opening on the Crystal Maiden, they committed the blink on the Anti-Mage as well as a lot of the spells, which ended up putting Jericho as well as Cinder in very awkward spots, and usually ended in their death, at least for the Ember Spirit. I think he came away with 2 double kills in the early portions of that game. It just wasn't very pretty. Still, we're going to be waiting for a pause. Yeah. I'm not sure there's much else that we have really to talk about. I assume that this Viper is going to be going mid. No matter what happens, though, it's not going to be a pretty lane for Union Gaming. With a 3 melee core, there's just nobody else that they could throw up against this Viper and come even. I think the Timbersaw is the best way to get something out of that lane, and the Ember Spirit's no slouch either, even though the Centaur is probably going to be laned up against him with the Mirana as well as the Sand King in reserve. The Centaur is going to need to be very careful. If an off arrow lands and they're able to follow up with the chains as well as just the damage from the Ember, they'll probably be able to notch that kill. That said, on the Radiant side, we are going to have Not Today with the safe lane farmer actually going to be Ewo, so they're not going to be running the Viper in mid. Smash is going to be taking up the mid Ember Spirit, and our last core is going to be Clockwork, playing in the off lane, handled by Mihawk. Our supporting duo is going to be Sand King, played by Misko, as well as Mirana, played by Masoku. Looks like they're ferrying out a smoke to both of them and potentially looking to roam very heavily early on, or at the very least look for first blood, with boots first on the Sand King as well as with the smoke.
Speaking of looking for first blood, we have Union Gaming, all 5 smoked up. They might run into Ewo if they are very lucky, but it looks like they're instead just going to place a couple of observers, sentries, make sure the Sand King jungle isn't going to be happening. But we have Zinder, who's going to be playing the Ogre Magi support, and other hero on support is going to be Jericho. Angel's once again going to be taking the Centaur War Runner. Benyaz once again going to be taking the Anti-Mage, and the new hero is going to be Cederlin handling the Timbersaw. So is it really going to just be Mirana, Sand King, heavy roam? Because you don't really want to lane a tri-lane with Clockwork. I would imagine Masoku and Misko to be eventually going to end up down on the bottom lane, but really the Sand King and Mirana, they can't do much here. Look at all these blocks. This is 1 camp blocked, 2 camps blocked, 3, 4 camps blocked. They only have 1 camp available. Maybe you are better off just going onto the enemy side of the map and trying to play with an aggressive tri-lane.
Right now, the smoke does come out from Misko as well as Masoku, and they might bump into these supports or potentially look towards the first blood onto the Timbersaw. The smoke hasn't popped yet, as the 0-minute rune. I didn't see what it was. It was an illusion picked up by the clockwork. And the bending rune, I believe, has been snagged by one of the heroes down in bottom. Sand King looks like he's going to open up on his Timbersaw, who doesn't smell something coming. The Burrow Strike's going to land with the follow-up arrow is going to be perfectly aligned. Flame Guard leveled up first. First Smash is going to do the most damage, but I think it's still going to be enough to secure this first blood for the Timbersaw. Despite Smash falling very low, the aggro is drawn by Masoku, and it's actually going to be enough. 1-for-1 trade still going to benefit not today, although they would have loved to get away with their Ember Spirit's life. It's still going to be the first blood going into the pockets of the Ember Spirit.
Yeah, though the Timbersaw does go down, or the Ember Spirit does go down in the end, the Timbersaw doesn't get any experience, whereas Smash, he does. And it looks like Masoku and Misko, they're going to pretty much make their home over on this mid lane. It's not the best matchup for the Ember Spirit, but then again, it's not the worst. It does get a lot better once he gets more levels up. Adding a Sand King or Mirana into that mix, and suddenly the lane is just absolutely devastating, especially when you're having to deal with all these arrows, and a 5-second arrow lands over towards mid. This is a free kill for Smash, and that was such a long arrow from the Mirana. Like, she threw it all the way from her side of the river, and it was just on the edge. Smash, please don't tell me you're going to die again. He will salve up, and he will be fine to escape this time, but even if he goes down, that's still a worthwhile trade for not today.
Yeah, and that Mirana just threading the needle, finding a perfect angle onto the Timbersaw. Centaur down in bottom is taking a lot of harass from Ewo, and being chased all the way towards the right side of the tree line. With the Sand King or Mirana in reserve, Ewo would have been able to get that kill, but still the Viper has it completely on lockdown. Centaur's going to get a little bit of experience under his tower, but already forced to eat through the majority of his regen. 2 tangos as well as a salve.
And knowing the matchup is going to be up against Centaur, Ewo is most likely going to be prioritizing the aggressive side of Viper as opposed to the corrosive skin defensive side. And that just means that Angel's going to be a lot more careful in this lane. Ewo has it, as you said, pretty much completely on lockdown. The kill potential isn't really there unless Centaur really screws up. Ewo does have boots, whereas the Centaur does not. Needs at least one more point in poison attack before he could just walk the Centaur down. Even then, it's very expensive in the mana department. But having Misko and Masoku roam down to the bottom lane, now that's a great way to get a gank on your Centaur. I think it's going to not happen, though, as Masoku and Misko, they're going to be looking for try number 3 over on this Timbersaw. Arrow possibility is there, although, no, they're going to decide against it. I think rotating bottom is just better overall. It's a lot safer, but maybe they're not going to do anything. I don't know. They seem to be indecisive.
Yep, they mid, and then go back down towards bottom, and now they're finally going to decide towards mid. The smoke wears off as Misko is very deep on enemy lines. I think they'll find this lineup onto the Timbersaw. He has mana for 1 Timber Chain, but that's about it. Timber Chain is going to be interrupted nicely by the Burrow Strike. Arrow is going to be landing as well as the chains. A little bit of stun stacking there, but it's going to be the 3rd death of this Timbersaw. He just can't catch a break. Honestly, there's not very much you can do about that. Your lane's being camped. You're effectively up against a tri lane. As far as heroes that can make something out of a bad situation, Timbersaw is a decent one, but not that great. And good news for Union Gaming, their anti-mage is pretty much getting free farm, but then again, so is the Viper on the enemy side. And if this Brana and Sand King find a kill on the anti-mage, that could be huge for them. But as the status quo stands, Union Gaming are completely heartbroken by the laning stage, because Benyaz is, as we saw last game, able to carry the game on his shoulders, and anti-mage is a pretty good hero if you are going to drop the whole game on one of them, but then again, you don't want to have to be in that situation. It's a lot of pressure for Benyaz to be under.
Yeah, and he's going to have to do so much, and ordinarily you have heroes like Death Prophets in order to hold down the mid game and make sure the anti-mage gets a lot of space to farm just by pushing towers and applying pressure back towards the enemy. In this game, the job would fall to the Timbersaw, but he's just having such a rough time over in the mid lane. Thankfully for him, I suppose, Smash isn't getting the most farm on the Ember Spirit. Like, he's getting the kills for sure, but the last hitting isn't quite there. So the Ember Spirit isn't as far ahead in this lane as he could possibly be. Union Gaming aren't going to know that for sure, but it's still going to be a hidden benefit to them. As Ember Spirit, he's doing pretty well in this lane, but not dominating it. Masoku and Misko, though, are going to get their smoke revealed. And Timbersaw doesn't know that he revealed the smoke, though. I think the nighttime range was not there. But they're going to look towards Angel. I guess everyone gets a little bit of the Mirana Sand King love. If they land a random arrow, if they land a Viper Strike on the Centaur, that's going to be him in a body bag. Viper just now hitting level 6. They are going to have to contend with both Zinder as well as Jericho. This is going to be Gankers quickly becoming the Genki as Misko is going to get hit with both the Fire Blast and the Shackles. It's going to be layered a little bit. He does have the Sandstorm to get himself out of this, and now he has an opportunity for a 3-man Burrow Strike, but he's not going to take it. He's instead going to use it to escape. I think that's the right decision. Going to try to hide with his Viper and Mirana friend. Our arrow has already been used, however, and should not result in anything. Another Fire Blast is going to be thrown, but level 1 Fire Blast is actually pretty terrible. Only 60 damage. It's pretty much just a right click. No one's going to die on this bottom lane, but Ewo is just farming up a Storm, and he's going for a Hand of Midas. So as much farm as Benyaz is getting, there's going to be just as much farm on the Viper, if not even more.
Yeah, right now, the Anti-Mage is last hitting better, and the farm, it's just going to come at a different time for both of these heroes. The Midas is going to instantly help the Viper out, whereas the Battle Fury is slowly over time going to bolster Anti-Mage's farm. The Battle Fury we saw last game was incredibly delayed because of the aggressive start that happened in the Anti-Mage's lane, but this is a perfect scenario for Benyaz. Up against the Clockwork, it's not the best 1v1 lane, but now that, or since he started out with some support, it's completely manageable, since Clockwork has no mana to use any of his spells whenever he comes up to the creep wave. Clockwork also only level 4 up against a level 6 Anti-Mage. Can't really do much in that regard either.
And if Anti-Mage was a different hero, then maybe Clockwork would be able to just say, screw all of that, I'm going to get kills on you regardless with my battery assault damage. But Anti-Mage is not vulnerable to that just because he has a blink. So this lane is pretty much going to be a one versus one for Union Gaming moving forward. And this is not a lane that the Clockwork can do well in, let alone win. So Union Gaming supports are going to be taking this opportunity to go to different lanes, go to the bottom lane and try to make something happen on the Viper, because Viper has gone for a very aggressive build, and they should know about this as well. He is an easily ganked target. Misko's in the area, but he's an even more easily ganked target. He is completely hidden though, so he should be fine. Still, they're going to apply pressure to this Viper, and I like this play coming out from Union Gaming. I mean, you know the enemy has a lot of farm on one hero. You might as well try to go for them, and you can do that.
Yeah. I would like to see the Sand King and Mirana do the same. Even though there's a blink on the Anti-Mage and it would be a hard kill, if they land the arrow properly, it could happen. But right now, the Mirana might be caught out by the Ogre stun. It's not going to happen. The Centaur, as well as the Shadow Shaman and Ogre, are completely as a unit. They might be able to find the Ogre with a leap into arrow. Viper Strike will follow up, and now Zender is more or less completely dead. Gets the Fire Blast off, but it's not going to save his life. Might send Misko back to base, but that's about it.
And the Sand King was pretty much at that health to start off with. I didn't even see the Fire Blast who it hit, but it's only level 1 Fire Blast. It's only 60 damage. Even if it did hit someone, even if it multicasted, it's not going to be doing that much damage. So not today. They take a nice early 4-1 advantage. And oh, they land another arrow towards the mid lane. Jesus, Mirana, you have to calm down, Masoku. This guy is landing arrows
stole
left
the
and right.
kill with the flare.
Thank you for your contributions, Clockwork. That's a level 3 flare. I think this is the right build given the circumstance, but yeah, I guess the kill is going to be nice. I would rather have it on Smash, though.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm not sure that was necessary at all. But, I mean, the snipers are real with the Mirana arrow as well as the Clockwork flare. Shadow Shaman has made his way back up towards top lane. I'm not sure if he's entirely necessary here, but they might be able to catch a kill on the Clockwork, but not when Mihawk spots him out.
Yeah, daytime breaks at the worst possible time for Union Gaming, and Clockwork is going to stay the course. He's not quite at that level 6 mark, and even when he gets to that level 6, because he has gone for more Rocket Flare than Battery Assault, his killing potential isn't that high, and he's not really setting up for much outside of a Bro Strike arrow. It's okay, but it's definitely no Sunstrike or Mystic Flare, so the Clockwork's contributions to this game are going to be relatively limited. The Centaur is kind of the same way. He's getting quite a bit of experience, but not that much farm, so there's no Blink Dagger really in sight for him, but I mean, Clockwork's getting really neither experience nor farm, so he's going to be a dead hero for a very long time. The Mirana, though, is making up for it in spades.
Yeah, definitely. This Mirana, she doesn't have the farm to back up her impact. 2-0 and 3 on the Mirana is time and time again landed those arrows very nicely, especially on the Timbersaw, and some very long-range arrows at that without setup. They've made this Mirana work wonderfully, and props to Masoku. He's been playing very well.
And Misko has been stacking up a couple of camps for himself. He does have that level 2 Sandstorm. He has a whole bunch of dual camps, a couple of tri-camps available to him. So the Sand King, although he did get his jungle camps blocked, the majority of them in fact, he's now going to head on towards his Blink Dagger, and that's a game time item. That's an item that once you pick up, you want to be looking for kills, because by that time you should have your Epicenter. And Union Gaming, they're fairly tanky, but they're not going to be able to withstand all of that damage that Misko is going to be able to pump out. So now he's going to get a little bit of free time, and there's no real way that Union Gaming can punish this Sand King. They already did what they can, and at this point, they should just accept the fact that this Sand King is going to get a blink. It's not going to be the fastest, though, so I guess they should be kind of okay with that, but still, blinking Sand King is not what you want to see on the other end when you don't have a blink close on your Centaur.
Yeah. Uo also hasn't been punished for the Midas, even though it's fairly weird to see on your Vipers when you're able to get it so fast. I think it's better than rushing straight towards the mechanism, is even though he'd be able to get the mechanism at like 6 minutes in with treads or something ridiculous like that, not 6 minutes, but like 7 or 8, Still, he's not going to be able to transition that into tower pushes, and delaying the mechanism is completely fine. When you're still waiting on that Blink Dagger for the Sanking, I think it's the right choice. As Timbersaw finds himself a Mirana, and that's going to be a very dead one at that. With the Ogre Magi also inbound for the Fire Blast, didn't see the majority of that kill go down, but that's a very important one for Union Gaming to be snagging up. Despite it only being a support, it's going to be 305 gold swing into the Timbersaw, which is a decent hero to be picking up that extra gold.
Yeah, and the Timbersaw has done a pretty good job at recovering over in this mid lane. Ember Spirit still holding a CS advantage, still has the experience in his edge as well because he got the kill on the Timbersaw previously, but getting that kill on the Mirana, though she's not the highest level support in the world, it's still going to be a nice little bit of comeback for the Timbersaw in this lane. And he just showed off his damage potential. He's not even maxed out in the Whirling Death, so he could even do more damage moving forward, and then even more once he picks up his Aghanims, which I can only assume he's going to be going for. The Ember Spirit's not going to have that type of immediate impact. Unless he finds himself in very specific situations, he'll be able to do a lot of damage for sure, but those situations are not really being created by Not Today, as they're not going to leave their lanes at all. Like, Masoku's roaming around, and that's all well and good. He's actually going to land another freehand arrow on Timbersaw. That was completely blind. That was more or less completely blind.
Yeah, and it's going to land nicely. Meantime, in Anti-Mage land, we're going to see Benyaz hardly missing his CS. Almost 90 last hits at 11.5 minutes in. It's Anti-Mage heaven, like 89 and 44. This is exactly what Anti-Mage wants to be doing. Just statically farming for the entire game, not being roamed upon. Honestly, I think it's a little bit of a mistake for Not Today. They could have made something happen with the Stanking as well as Imrana, but they put a lot of pressure on the other lanes, leaving this Anti-Mage free farm. Although he's not going to become an instant threat, there's always that fear that eventually Anti-Mage is going to become unmanageable, and that's going to come a lot faster this game than we saw last game.
Well, maybe they're going to now look to make a play up on top because Anti-Mage, actually, he does have 2-point spell shield. This is a rather defensive build given the circumstances. Normally, it's 1 point, and that's it until both Blink and Mana Break are maxed out, but he has himself a lot of preparation right now, and Misko with his new Blink Dagger isn't really going to be able to do that much. However, he's going to run into a whole bunch of UG heroes that he's not going to be bargained for in Angel and Jericho. They're pretty weak, and Mihawk's going to jump right in along with the Ember Spirit. Jericho's now trapped, and the Burrow Strike onto Angel is going to drop him very low. Magic Stick is going to keep him up for a little while, but the Flame Guard will burn him down. That's a 2-kill for Not Today. They might be getting more, however, Mirana's going to get picked off in the meantime, making it a 2-for-1 across the map. And that's still going to be favoring Not Today. The first use of Hookshot definitely showing through, but Mirana is once again going to get cut off near the South River. Benya's going to get hit with the Burrow Strike. Now the chains as well. Pushed back by the Cogs. Do they have enough damage to do it? They do! That was so well played by Not Today.
Yes,
they used everything at their disposal to kill off that Anti-Mage.
And they used it perfectly. Like, Anti-Mage didn't stand a chance there. I don't think he knew that Mystico was sticking around with that Blink Dagger, and Sanking just put it to perfect use. Kind of greedy for the Anti-Mage, but honestly, I didn't think he'd die. I thought he'd escape with, like, 100 HP, but not going to be so. They get all of their spells to line up perfectly, which is really impressive to see. In mid, they will land another arrow into poor Timbersaw, and Timbersaw is going to die.
Over towards bottom lane, Iwo did have his tower denied to him. He has his mech flying out, or he should, but I don't really know if that's going to be relevant, as he is going to get shackled up. All stuns have now been used. If he could survive this, then he's going to be able to survive everything. Turning around for the Poison Strike. He's going to fight to the death onto Angel. The damage is high. Will it be enough? It will be enough. He makes it a 1-for-1 trade. Doesn't get the experience for it, but sends a very strong message to UG. Don't mess with my Viper. Now that he has his mech completed, it's on the courier, I assume. Yes, it is. So he has his mech completed. Next time, he's going to be able to fight back and survive, and maybe even take another one down with him. But 10-4 now, and Not Today. They're looking so much stronger in this game than they were the last. And even though they have a farmed Anti-Mage to deal with, they clearly show that they have the tools to do it. Oh, speaking of bottom lane, one of those tools just being used to kill off an Ogre. That's going to drop the Ogre magic down in the bottom lane. Epicenter with the Blink. It's hard to escape from. As tanky as Ogre is, he's not tanky enough.
Definitely not, and Sanking's getting pretty darn farmed. It looks like he's going to be building towards a 4-step next instead of opting for those arcane boots. But now with the mechanism on Iwo, as well as the workings of a completed Battle Fury on the Ember Spirit, Not Today are going to be looking pretty good in this game. After getting the one very crucial kill on the Anti-Mage, it's going to delay his Battle Fury even further, so Smash is going to get it at more or less the same time, although he is working without the upgraded boots, which is completely fine. Smash's damage output is going to be pretty insane, and Not Today, whenever they have Epicenter as well as that Blink initiation from the Sanking, they can look for fights, not to mention the Clockworks jump in. And now with the completed Blade Mail on Mihawk, he's going to be doing quite a lot of return damage, especially if he can catch out the legs of the Centaur when he drops the double edge. That could be disgusting.
Masoku and company stalking the Anti-Mage. However, Anti-Mage, I believe, saw sight of the Mirana. He's going to dig himself a nice hidey hole, and he will be safe for now, but Masoku, the threat of an arrow is so real. Like, it was always real whenever you have him around in the game, but his accuracy has been just off the charts and impressive arrows as well. So the anti-mage is not going to have the clearest of times now, as once Not Today get one kill, they're going to feel more and more confident to get another, as it's shown to them that they do have enough lockdown and damage in order to kill off the anti-mage. However slight it may be, they do have the possibility of doing that. But UG, they have Serpent Wards up, and that means bottom lane tower is going to be pressured, and it will fall without a fight.
Yeah, seems that that's going to be the case. They're TPing in the Sand King. This is very ballsy that he doesn't cancel. It goes for a Burst Strike onto Jericho, but this might be the wrong place for a Sand King to be. Center Ultimate to disengage is going to keep everybody in Union Gaming safe, including Jericho, who makes a very low TP out. I'm not sure why Mystico continued that TP without support, but I think that Union Gaming expected some extra heroes, especially since Moonlight Shadow was used.
Well, it's not really going to matter in the end. They don't get anyone, but they don't lose anything either. Still, they leave 2 heroes up on top. These 2 heroes are deadly, but not deadly enough to kill off a Timbersaw. Maybe deadly enough to kill off an Ogre if they see him. And they're going to jump in for the Timbersaw, in fact. There's the arrow setup, but the Cogs and the Batter Assaults don't interrupt the Timbersaw, so it is going to be a clean escape from the Timber, and maybe even looking to turn this one around. Mihawk does have free access teleport out, although not anymore with Zinder and Benyaz both coming in. Mihawk's going to be the sacrificial lamb in this, but they do make a trade over on bottom lane. Mihawk now going to try to TP out with the vision. He is not going to be able to make that happen. He's going to go down in the end. Mirana is probably going to leave as well. I don't really know why she's still here, but they get a kill 1 for 1, and it's going to be fairly even in that regard. However, Union Gaming are also going to end up losing a tower.
Yeah, so I suppose that's space created by the Clockwork. They also dump a Mana Void into him that was not necessary coming out from Benyaz, but when somebody's TPing out like that, you want to make sure that you get the kill. Because if Clockwork made it out there, it would be Union Gaming coming away with no advantage at all. We do now have the Battle Fury on Benyaz, but that's not going to save him when Ember Spirit gets the chains. He's doing quite a lot of damage, but with no follow-up, Benyaz is going to be able to blink away, but that was so close.
That was like almost Dota Cinema send that in kind of arrow, but unfortunately being close is not the same as being correct. And oh, Benyaz, he almost got hit with the Clockwork Flare as well. I don't think that would have been enough damage with 2 points in that spell shield. It would have been very close, but it's Benyaz barely limping away with his life. And Not Today, their snipers, they're a little bit off in the last couple of minutes, but hey, they're still firing pretty darn accurately.
Central Illusion cleaned up in mid by Ewo now has a point booster to match his mechanism as well as power treads and getting dangerously close to an Aghanim Scepter. As fast as the anti-mage farms with Battle Fury, Viper is actually finding more out of this map because he's been able to get some kills on top of just having the Midas constantly running. Right now, the net worth on all of these heroes of Not Today is looking wonderful for them. The Ember as well as Viper out farming the anti-mage, and the Sand King and Clockwork also finding more than any other hero on the side of Union Gaming, with the exception of that AM.
And Smash also has his Battle Fury, so this is going to be Battle Fury for Battle Fury. Of course, Anti-Mage does use it better because he does have Blink in order to get around and farm faster, but in the fights, the Ember Spirit's Battle Fury is always king, and he's going to push the top lane. Looks like UG, they really want this bottom lane tier 1 tower. They will get it, especially once they use the wards. Mihawk has just got to run. Like, this is run time for Mihawk. He will put the Blade Mail up. He really wants to fight this one. I can't believe it. They're going to teleport 2 heroes in. Benyaz is going to hit with 1 stun. Now the Cogs get him pushed back, but he will blink out of there safe and sound as they do stampede away. The Searing Chains, though, going to catch him. Do they have enough burst damage to kill off Benyaz? They do! Viper's damage is huge, and they do bring down the Anti-Mage. Totally worthwhile trade. And they also take down the top tier 2 tower in the meantime. That was a very, very close defense, or a close kill on the Anti-Mage, but hey, it's a defense, it's a kill nonetheless. And now Misko used an Epicenter for something. I don't really know what happened there, but he did miss it. Now he's going to get jumped upon by the Timber. However, Timber doesn't have that much mana. Arrow's going to chain stun him up, but Misko getting it with the Stomp. Double Edge is going to follow as well. Masoku getting clipped by that one as well. The Sandstorm not going to be enough with Angel on his tail, although it might just be enough. He's going to find a regen rune. He's home free, and then Mirana TP it out. That was such a clean escape from these 2 very slippery support heroes. Nothing but wins for Not Today across the map.
Yeah, it's hard to count out Union Gaming since they do have that anti-mage to fall back on, but right now he needs just so much more in order to, I don't know, become relevant. This game, it's not like just having the mana burn as well as the mana void is enough. He's going to need items to back it up. As in mid, we see the Ogre Magi be brought down by Ewo pretty much solo. didn't really need much else. The Sand King was there, but he's still hanging around on the high ground. Epicenter on cooldown. I didn't see what he actually threw that at. I assume it was attempted kill on the Centaur and the arrow missed, or something along those lines. But the tier 2, the final tier 2 standing on the side of Union Gaming is not long for this world. As Not Today have 4 of their heroes inbound, they're going to be able to take it very quickly, with no attempted defense coming out from Union Gaming. I think they've lost too much map control, and now with Boots of Travel on Smash, that's not going to get any better. As the Ember Spirit, one way or another, is going to be able to join the fight from anywhere on the map, either by using a Remnant or just by Boots of Traveling in on the creep wave.
And against the likes of an Anti-Mage and a Timbersaw, 2 heroes that do excel in split pushing, having travels on any of your heroes is going to be crucial, and Smash is probably the best one to have them. Not just that he could clear off the creep wave very quickly, but he could actually pressure and potentially duel Benyes and come out on top, who's farming very aggressively. He will get burrow struck. That was completely blind by Misko. Now everyone else is going to come in. However, is it going to be enough? Stampede is there. Baller arrow from Mirana. It's not going to be... Oh, it was thrown, but it didn't land. I don't know how they saw Benyes, but they knew exactly where he was. They had a perfect read, and the damage was just short.
Yeah, definitely. Right now, it's going to be Not Today not finding as much as they'd want to be finding, but it's still enough. The status quo is wonderful for them. The Smash still has a lot of room to grow. It's being pinged out in mid. I'm not exactly sure why. I think that's the Timbersaw. They want to go for him, but that's very unlikely to work, as he did have a Remnant that is about to time out in mid, and they're going to get the chains. Arrow going to land nice on Angel. They don't have enough damage to follow it up, but still, Angel dropped to half health and doing more damage to the center than they accomplished onto the Ember.
It's not about getting kills, it's about sending a message, and that sent a really clear one. Don't mess with this Mirana, she knows what she's doing. Now, Not Today, the big problem, of course, is going to be breaching the high ground. It's going to be a lot easier if they could get a lockdown on this Timber. He will chain away, and that's going to be his clean escape. But Viper has an Aghanim Scepter, and he wants more. Is he really going to go for this? Arrow is going to miss narrowly, and that might be a kill on the Timber. It's going to be close. He will survive. Now the Serpent Ward is being deployed. Ewo is going to get a lot of damage dealt to him, but he does mech up, and he will be just fine as Jericho gets sliced and diced by the Ember Spirit. Now Cinder, caught in the cogs, does have a hood of all things, so he's pretty tanky. But when 5 heroes are wailing on you, you're definitely not tanky enough. The Timbersaw is going to be forced to heal up in the base, and though Anti-Mage is split pushing, losing a tier 1 tower for a tier 3 is never a trade you want to make. The pushing power from Not Today, not that high though, so I don't really know if they could take this tier 3.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they should fully commit. They might be able to find the initiation on Ewo. Looking for the stomp, it is going to land. Nice burst strike from Mystica is going to delay this damage, but the Timbersaw does have the Chakram running. But Angel is going to eat one more auto attack from the Viper, or maybe just one more from the Sand King. Does get the double edge off before falling, but is going to fall after all is said and done. Blink forward by the Anti-Mage Mana Void, going to give him a double kill onto both the Mirana as well as the Sand King. Well, Anti-Mage is going to find a nice influx of gold after that, now working with the Yasha as well as the Vladimirs. It's still not enough for Union Gaming to make that trade entirely worthwhile. But, I mean, they'll take anything that they can get. That's 1,000 gold for the AM.
Yeah, and that is just going to help them get to that next item. It's probably going to be the Manta Style. Already Not Today are having a little bit of difficulty killing off this Anti-Mage unless an arrow lands, and a Manta Style is going to make it all the more difficult. Not Today, though as powerful as they may be, they're going to really struggle at breaching the high ground. None of their heroes are really what I would call pushing heroes, so it's going to be really difficult for them. They need to take a team fight outside of the base, and it's going to be very difficult for them to actually find that. They have all the tools, of course, Moonlight Shadow, the hook shot from Clockwork, the random searing chains or random jump in from Ember. These are all great at actually starting fights if you could find UG out of position, but that's really the hard part, finding UG out of position. If UG voluntarily do something kind of dumb, like go for Roshan, where they are in danger of being picked off in a tight quarter situation, then it'll be really easy for Not Today, but they shouldn't be going for that. I mean, take a look at the net worth. It's everyone on Not Today on top. And the Anti-Mage is firmly on top, but still, the rest of Not Today are not far behind him. Soku's going to get jumped, and he's going to get annihilated, but here comes a hook shot. Going to catch Angel and the Ember Spirit coming from the side as well, doing quite a bit of damage. Mihawk now going to get left behind by the rest of the team. Here comes Ewo, however. Will land a Viper Strike onto Jericho. That should be enough with one more right click to kill him off. Leading Titan Mihawk dropping very low to Benyes, and he will be brought down in the end. That's a 2 for 0 so far, as Union Gaming do slip their Centaur away. Misko looking for a Blink Burrow Strike, but into the Serpent Wars, he doesn't want to go. Angel, oh, he's going to cancel his TP, but he should be home free regardless. That's just a free 2 kill for Union Gaming. I thought Not Today would get something out of that.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be Union Gaming again finding a little bit of something that I didn't think they would. It's the Anti-Mage that's now going to become relevant. He needs like 1 or 2 more items before he can actually take fights convincingly. But Not Today, although they still have a commanding lead, haven't broken high ground yet. Union Gaming are getting a lot more than I thought they would. And they're going to put up a decent fight in this game number 3. Right now, they just need to buy room for Benyaz to get his next completed item, probably Heart, and then something for the damage, presumably a Basher.
Alright, so Ewo is leading the charge down the mid lane. The rest of the team in tow, all invisible due to the smoke. A straight push is probably not the best way of doing it, since their initiation isn't really like Bat Rider initiation. They really need to have full vision of the enemies, and that's something that don't have right now. Zinder gonna poke forward, and that's going to be a crucial mistake. He's gonna get chain stunned perfectly and brought down. Well, I guess if your Ogre Magi kind of suicides, then the initiation gets a lot easier.
Definitely does. Timbersaw, instead of going for the Bloodstone or for an Aghanim Scepter, has a completed Crimson Guard, which will be nice, but not nice enough to save this poor Shadow Shaman. It's brought down just by the poison damage of the Viper. Evo completely tapped out mana. Doesn't have the greatest mana pool anyway, so the Mana Void's not going to be dropped onto him, although it is going to secure the kill. After all this and then Arrow going to snipe out the Timbersaw, jump into the cogs coming out from Angel. He's going to be able to find the double edge, potentially after the Lip Stomp, but ends up just feeding away his life. It's now Anti-Mage versus the world. They lose their Viper, but even though their pushing's not strong enough, 4 heroes versus 1, I think Not Today are going to be able to find this first lane of Brax, at the very least a tier 3.
Ogre's going to come back up, and Shadow Shaman's going to be up soon as well. Benyaz even salving up to try to get into this fight a little bit faster, but the melee Rax focus is now going to come through potentially. No, not today. They're going to pay some respect. They have a TP coming in. It's going to be Jericho, who's going to instantly chained up, and then Burrow Strike. Arrow did miss, but is it going to matter? No. Shadow Shaman's down for the count once again. Meowth going to try to lay some defensive cogs. Not really going to be too relevant as Anti-Mage does charge forward for Misko, but the Ember Spirit damage is going to clear off every one of those illusions. And then everyone else from Not Today, they're going to make a clean retreat. No Rax is taken, but they did take a fantastic team fight plus a tier 3 tower. So if you're Not Today, you should be happy with that. You should reset, reload, get everything up once again. Epicenter is still up, wasn't used actually. So just go for that same exact thing again. You don't want to let this Anti-Mage get any more farm.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe you wait until Viper has his Heart and Daedalus on the Ember Spirit, but honestly, I think they can just go for it again. Roshan isn't the greatest of objectives for Not Today to take, because they don't have a great way to kill off the Roshan proper, but fighting around the Roshan pit's pretty close as the hookshot barely misses on the Timbersaw, just grazing the saw that's on his back.
Well, that's not going to result in initiation at the end of the day, so if it missed, if it was close, doesn't really matter. Not Today, are they really just going to go again for round 2 mid lane? They did take that fight that convincingly, mostly because the Ogre put himself in a compromising position. You can't count on a hero always doing that. And, well, Ewo is very far away. He has no parts of anything right now, just holding on to a lot of gold. You mentioned Heart. I don't know if that's the best item to go for in this situation. Like, even if you're a very tanky Viper, you're still going to have to deal with the lack of mana, and it will be a BKB for him in the end. Smash does have himself both on the top lane and on the mid lane, and he will jump back to his Spirit, and now with the fresh BKB on the Viper, now it's go time. Let's see if they can take Raxes.
Yeah, pretty much. They're going to wait for the courier to bring this item out to Ewo, but he's going to have it for this push for sure. The range barracks is already down fairly low, and I think Not Today will go ahead and focus this set of barracks, as it'll just be easier for them to take, and at the very least, they'll secure themselves something. Even if they don't take a convincing fight, they should be able to do so. The surfboards are down on the ground. I'm not sure if Not Today really want to fight around this, but they'll find a very easy kill on the Shadow Shaman as he's brought down by Burst Strike as well as an arrow, and they'll clean up these wards. Looking for the stop, it's going to miss. BKB comes out from Ewo. Now he's fighting strong up against Angel. Mana Void will obliterate the Mirana, but not much else. A nice Burst Strike comes through with the Epicenter this time. Not doing very much to Benyaz as he's man fighting up against Smash as well as Misko, but with the mechanism, Benyaz can't take this fight, and the blink away is going to come out too slowly. Buyback forced out from the Anti-Mage. Everybody's slow from Chakram. Under surfboards, it's not the best of fights for Not Today to take, but they forced out the buyback from the Anti-Mage, as well as take 2 kills on top of it. I think they can safely retreat and call it a day. Even though they don't come out with the racks, it's going to be a gold swing of 3,000 in their favor, as well as an experience swing of a similar magnitude.
Yeah, the first time they go in, they take the tier 3. The second time they go in, they force the buyback of the Anti-Mage. And the third time would, by all indication, lead to a full set of Raxes. Unless Anti-Mage completes a big item and gets a huge Mana Void, not really possible, not really plausible at this stage in the game. And Not Today, really, they have all their ultimates on a relatively low cooldown. They get a hook shot in onto Zinder. That could be the green light to go for the final base push. Here comes Benyaz, very quickly going to drain Ewo's mana, but now he's all alone. He's going to get burrow struck. Yeah, there it is. And now Benyaz, if he dies again, that's going to be no Anti-Mage for a minute and a half. Jericho's going to be the next to fall. The Timbersaw, can he escape? No, he can't. Searing Chains are there. There are no buybacks for Union Gaming. This is one set of Raxes at the very least for Not Today.
And probably more. That's 80 seconds with no Anti-Mage for good. Nobody else has buyback, though Not Today don't know about it. They're going to be finding a very easy fight ahead of them. The Centaur is the only one there for 10 seconds, and even with the Ogre as well as the Shadow Shaman, they really can't do very much. Now that we have a Daedalus on the Ember Spirit, he's dishing. The creep wave is going to be cleared up very quickly, and now the Barracks is going to fall suit.
If anyone on Union Gaming show their face, a Blink Burst Strike is going to be awaiting them, and then a Viper Strike, and then a whole bunch of other kinds of strikes, everything you can imagine. This is going to be them slowly clean up the Raxes. Timbersaw is going to be up soon enough, but not soon enough to save his Raxes. I don't think they could get anything else, not today. It's just going to be the Raxes, and then probably a clean fallback after maybe taking a couple of these buildings. Hey, they're worth like 100-something gold a pop. You might as well go for them. But Anti-Mage down is going to present a very large opening for not today, and with one Rax up, they might even look towards Roshan. There's still another 30 before Anti-Mage is back in this game.
Yeah, and I think they'll be able to take Rosh very easily. After taking Roshan, they won't have their next barrage of big items completed, but it's still looking so good for them. The Anti-Mage has decent net worth, working towards a heart now, but Anti-Mage can't 1v5 the enemy team at this point. That's what he needs to do in the fights.
Yeah, the only chances, if not today, all clump up and get cleaved down, but Mihawk, he's in a little bit of danger. He's going to Spider-Man away. He does have the Aghanim Scepter, so he's more than willing to use that purely as an escape tool. It's going to be hard for Anti-Mage to do this without a BKB, because even the Sand King, he's getting very close to a Sheep Stick. So another disable for not today. So Burrow Strike into a Sheep Stick. That's a ton of lockdown duration. All the while, I would assume Ember Spirit is just wailing at you. So dangerous situation for Union Gaming. Again, their hopes and game plan has not changed. Anti-Mage, it all rests on him, but it's a lot harder now that he's one Rax down.
Definitely. He can push out against this Rax, but even if the lane is kept out by the Anti-Mage, it's still going to be a reduction in his gold income, and a lot of time that he's going to have to commit to this mid lane that he'd much rather be farming other lanes or the jungle. So it's right now just a war of attrition that not today are winning, and they are going to be winning unless something amazing happens for Union Gaming, which is what they really need. They need the perfect Centaur of Stomp initiation, then maybe, let's see, who to actually fall low on mana. Right now, the highest mana pool is actually on the Clockwork, surprisingly enough, but he's probably not going to lose enough of it. Maybe if Viper's spamming his Viper Strike enough, you can find a decent mana void, but right now that spell's not very impactful this game. Last game we had a Skarath Mage, which, although it wasn't relevant to the game, could do a whole lot of damage with mana void. So the wombo combo really isn't there for me Union Gaming, and it's just going to be a straight push down and bottom coming out from not today. The Anti-Mage isn't there, and he needs to get back home very quickly. He does have the TP to do so, but right now I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. They obliterate the Ogre. They're going to crit him down. He's dead. Jericho drops the wards, and now it's going to be dropped by Ewo. The right clicks are going to be too much as Smash steals it with the Slide of Fists. I suppose it's only right as Viper did get the earlier kill, but now the tier 3 tower is going to be focused. Anti-Mage is just YOLOing for this push up on top. He's going to get caught up by Smash. No, chains are going to come out, but that double damage run on the Ember Spirit is ridiculous.
And Smash is Ember Spirit, so he could clean up the top lane and then instantly jump back to the rest of his team if they even need him. I mean, there's no Anti-Mage in the area. He needs to get back to his base right now, but I guess he just has farming on the mind. He's going to clear off Stack of Ancients, try to pick a fight with the Ember Spirit, but that's not going to happen because, again, Ember Spirit has just left, and now the range Raxes are in trouble. The melee Rax is still protected somewhat by the Serpent Wards. Not much pushing power here, but they're going to find the Timbersaw and blow him up. Union Gaming Angel now going to jump right in, buy back from the Timbersaw, but it's going to be Zinder who's going to get caught with the chain. Smash now hexed up, might take Shackles as well, but he's taking literally no damage right now from anything because of that Flame Guard. He's just going to turn around and annihilate Jericho with the Sleight of Fist. Angel going to try to blink in, but he gets his blink dagger canceled. Now Smash going to jump away to safety as the Timbersaw is going to try to chase forward. Misko is going to run right into a Chalk Room. It might be his suicide. No, he's going to slip away alive. That's 3 down more for Union Gaming, and not today. They haven't lost a single hero yet. They don't have any more buybacks, Union, and this is going to be the end of the melee Rax. Hell, Anti-Mage isn't even here. He's just leaving. He's like, screw that, guys. I don't want any part of this fight. This is going to be Raxes on the bottom lane, on the mid lane, maybe even the top lane, or they could just fall back and take Roshan. It's something that they didn't get to last time, but now they could very convincingly do that. They are just so far ahead right now as they now complete a Sheep Stick on Sand King. That's like almost a death sentence item.
Yeah, Benyaz is padding his GPM. That's exactly what he's doing. He's just like, I'm going to have none of that pushing business. I'm going to go ahead and farm and look to back to our tier 1 tower, which he doesn't even get to do. He's repelled by a solo Sand King, now caught by the chins of the Ember Spirit. Ember can't get that kill, but it's another DD for Smash. That damage was crazy. Now with the Scotty, he's going to be able to stick on targets like none other. I don't think it matters what Ember Spirit builds at this point. His Battle Fury and Daedalus is enough to carry through. And the Scotty, although not the most conventional of choices, is going to make it impossible for Union Gaming to kill him.
And Nisco is going to try to chase down Benyes. There is a Mantis style split, and Benyes is not going to get jumped upon just yet. But when your Sand King is feeling bold enough to pressure your farmed anti-mage, you know that you are in a very poor game, and that's probably not going to go your way for much longer. Iwo, he's not with the rest of his team, nor is Masoku. Do they really need to be up here? I mean, they could slow roll this as much as they want. They could start going for Benyes, who's going to finally get that tier 1 tower in mid lane. It's about time, and dodge an arrow as well. No, he's going to walk right into it. Man, I guess
that's embarrassing.
It's not going to matter, of course, but
No.
It's going to be the Mirana feeling pretty good about her accuracy in this game, and the rest of the team is up on top. I would like to see Not Today start to mobilize up there. Iwo has a butterfly in transit, or very close to a butterfly in transit. Just needs another 300 gold-ish, or 400 gold, until he has that one. One more Hand of Midas and then a couple creeps, and that's going to be it. It's not really an item worth waiting for, just because you can go so easily without it, but hell, the enemy team is not going to be doing anything in the meantime, so you might as well just go for whatever you want.
Yeah, and you have a 2-lane advantage. Even though Union Gaming can push out against this with their heroes, Anti-Mage and Timbersaw in particular, it doesn't really matter that much. Like, you can just kind of chill. Your Viper still has a slot to fill and replace that Midas on top of it. The Ember Spirit still has a damage item or two that he can pick up for himself. There's really no pressure on Not Today. All the pressure is on Union Gaming for this next team fight. It might be coming in mid.
Well, they're going to place an Observer Ward in the enemy base, so they know exactly all the movement. Ogre Magi has sentries, and he will misguess that, unfortunately for him. He might drop the second one, and he will, so no more Observer Ward coverage for Not Today. They are mobilizing with most of the heroes up on top. There is no Ember Spirit Remnant here, so he can't very quickly jump in, but he could very slowly teleport in, and sometimes that's good enough too. Butterfly completed, double damage rune, still halfway done for the Ember Spirit. And if he wasn't doing enough damage, like pre-double damage rune, then I think he could actually just like one-hit kill the Shadow Shaman.
Yeah, I mean, that almost happened last fight onto the Ogre, but yeah, one Sleight of Fist is the end of the creep wave, and if he can catch people when they're clumped up, it's a stupid amount of damage. I think that Union Gaming just need to wait out this double damage, and by that time, the tier 3 tower is going to be dead. There's very little actually committed by Not Today in order to do this, and they can continue to do this. Eventually, the Anti-Mage or somebody is going to be forced to defend against mid and bottom. And right now, Union Gaming are going to go for the Hail Mary. They find themselves a Mihawk, hexed up. They drop the surfboards, but they can't hold anybody in place. Masoku's taking a lot of damage to this Anti-Mage. And now the longest shackles you've ever seen in your life are going to land. But Jericho's also going to eat the entirety of an Epicenter. With this cleave damage on the Ember Spirit, they're probably going to be able to find Benyas. He's going to be hexed up. They are going to Remnant forward, try and cancel that TP. He's going to not make it back to the base as the Burrow Strike cancels. And now looking for the Timbersaw. GG called out by Benyas. Hoping to escape the game alive. It's not going to be so. It's Not Today find themselves in a victory 2-1 up against Union Gaming, and your prediction is right on. It is going to be a win for Union Gaming, or excuse me, for Not Today, and I think rightfully so. I think this season they've proved that they're the more consistent team, if nothing else.
Yeah, Not Today. They just crushed through pretty much everyone. A little bit of hiccup in game number 2, but this performance from Not Today was pretty impeccable, and that's going to mark the end of the Join Dota League Season 3 American Division. I think the C Division is still going on right now, but who knows? Yeah, I'm sure that's going to close soon enough, but that's going to be it for us casting here on HeflaTV 2, guys. Hope you enjoyed the games. We certainly did. If you did enjoy it, be sure to hit that follow button. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook as well, just those respective sites.com/HeflaTV. The VODs will be up on YouTube.com/HeflaMoke soon enough, and I think we actually have one more thing, but that's going to come in probably about 1 minute-ish if we could find a song that's fitting. I didn't really get much feedback, so I don't know.